A couple of days ago, my son Lucas, 17, showed up at my job, his face red, eyes watery. I knew something was wrong the second I saw him. He told me that my stepdaughter Megan, 19, came home loaded with bags from a shopping spree, and when he checked his room, all the money he had been saving was gone. Now, Megan does not have a job. And when she does get her hands on cash, she spends it like it is burning a hole in her pocket. I told my boss what was going on, and he let me leave early. The moment I stepped into the house, I asked Megan where she got the money for all that stuff. She smirked and said it was her own savings. I knew she was lying. I told her to tell me the truth, and she rolled her eyes, telling me to stay out of her business. Lucas had been busting his tail at a pizza place for months, putting away every extra dollar. He was saving up to surprise his late best friend's dad on what would have been the kid's first birthday since passing. His friends had all chipped in, planning to take the dad out for the weekend, covering his gas, food, and whatever else he needed. Most teenagers are saving up for cars or sneakers, but my son just wanted to do something good for someone hurting. Instead of wasting time arguing with Megan, I pulled up the footage from the security camera we used to check on our dogs. It did not show her face, but I could see her legs heading straight into Lucas's room. That was all I needed. In our house, we do not go into each other's rooms. It is a simple rule, based on respect. I confronted Megan with the footage. Her response? She threw out excuse after excuse. I have been saving for months. How do you even know it was me? Maybe someone broke in. I was not buying any of it. When my wife got home, Megan turned on the waterworks, crying like we were ganging up on her. I did not care. I showed my wife the footage and told her what happened. That was when Megan blurted out, "Why does Lucas get to have all the money anyway?" Like it was just sitting there for anyone to take. I told my wife that Megan needed to return everything immediately. My wife shook her head and said no. She told me it would be too embarrassing for Megan to take it all back and that she would pay Lucas back when she got a job. I told her, it will be a lot more embarrassing when she gets arrested for stealing $400. That was when the real argument started. I told my wife Megan had broken a non-negotiable rule in the law. She is a grown woman, 19 years old, does not pay rent, does not contribute, and has no right to steal from someone who actually works for his money. I told her Megan needed to go. My wife looked me in the eye and said, "If you kick her out, I am going too." I gave her a choice. Either Megan returned the money, or she could cover half the rent early since we split everything. She refused. So they packed their bags and left. I was not about to wrestle the shopping bags out of Megan's hands. That would not have been smart. But now, here I was, standing in my house, looking at my son, who had just lost everything he saved for months. I could not afford to cover the full amount he lost. I scraped together what little I could, but it was not enough to make the trip. Lucas went to bed without eating. He was completely crushed. I posted online, asking if I had done the wrong thing. Thousands of people told me I should have called the police immediately. So, the next morning, I did. An officer contacted my wife, telling her that Megan needed to return the stolen items or come down to the station. It was supposed to be a scare tactic to get her to do the right thing. But my wife doubled down on her lies. She told the officer she gave Megan the money. Since I had no proof of the stolen cash, just footage of her walking into Lucas's room, nothing could be done. I sat there in the police station, watching my son break down. Through tears, he asked, "How could they do this to me? What was this all for?" I just wanted to be there for his dad. That hit me like a truck. Lucas is my son from a previous relationship. He is a good kid. He never thought he had to hide his own money in his own house. I had to sit him down and tell him, "Never keep that much cash in your room again." But that is not a conversation I should have had to have. My wife and Megan have family to stay with. They are fine. But Lucas? He is left wondering why his own stepmother defended a thief. 5 days later. I know a lot of people have been asking for an update. My first post got removed because too many people were talking about money, but I am not deleting it. Lucas had been saving all summer to be there for his best friend's dad on what would have been his birthday. If I had known how much he had, I would have told him to put it in his safe. But you know what? I am not going to blame him. He should not have to worry about getting stolen from in his own house. In our home, no one goes into each other's rooms. Not even parents. It is not just a rule, it is basic respect. Megan broke that. She went through his stuff, stole his money, and ran off to spend it. My wife refused to make her return it. I almost grabbed the bags right out of her hands, but looking back, I am glad I did not. Because my wife later lied to the police. She could have easily lied again, saying I put my hands on her. The police told me it was a civil matter since my wife claimed she gave Megan the money. Which was a complete lie. My wife chose Megan over me and Lucas. She packed her things and left without a second thought. I did not chase after them. This weekend, my wife came back with a sheriff's escort. She had receipts proving she had paid for the furniture in our rental. That was all she needed to take everything. I tried explaining that I gave her cash for some of those things, but guess what? Just like with Lucas's money, cash leaves no trail. She took everything. That is when it hit me. My wife had probably been planning to leave long before this happened. She even paid the landlord a huge amount to break our lease early, almost double what Megan stole. But did she offer to pay Lucas back? Of course not. After they left and the landlord called, I lost it. Everything was happening so fast. Lucas came up to me and said, "Dad, I am sorry you lost everything because of me." That broke me. He even said, "I will tell Mom it is okay." Maybe Megan needed the money more than me. That is when I knew. Lucas is the only thing that matters. Not the house. Not the furniture. Not the food that was in the fridge. Nothing matters more than him. And if my wife could so easily throw him aside, then good riddance. When my wife and her daughter left, they wasted no time. Her family swooped in like a moving crew on a mission. Within an hour, everything was gone: furniture, boxes, bags. It was like they had planned this all along. And that is when it hit me. This was not a knee-jerk reaction. She had this planned. My wife called the landlord, paid a ridiculous fee to break the lease, almost twice the amount her daughter stole from Lucas. But did she bother offering to pay my son back? Of course not. After the last box was gone, my phone rang. It was the landlord, confirming that my wife had officially ended the lease. That was the moment I felt it, like a punch to the gut. Everything was moving so fast. I must have been standing there, frozen, because Lucas walked up to me, his voice quiet. "Dad. I am so sorry you lost everything because of me." I could barely process what he was saying before he kept going. "It is not a big deal. I will just tell Mom it is okay. Maybe Megan needed it more than me." That was the moment I snapped out of it. I looked him right in the eye and said, "Listen to me. You are my everything. Not her. Not this house. Not the furniture. Not even the food in the fridge. I know it sounds dramatic, but I do not care. There is nothing my wife could say or do to make me overlook what she did to him." I asked, "Would you ever feel comfortable around them again? What happens when you are gone? What will she take next? Because let me tell you something, Megan is not getting away with this." When the police officer asked my wife about Megan, she made her choice. She chose to protect her daughter, no matter how wrong she was. Now, I am making my choice. I am protecting my son. If Lucas is not comfortable, I am not comfortable. And I told him that. People online have been tearing into me over this. Some of the things they have said. I am uncomfortable that he would choose his son over his wife. His son is almost an adult. It is time to grow up and be a man. I do not care. I blocked every single person who had something to say about it. Yes, Lucas is 17. But that does not make it okay for someone to steal from him. Getting robbed is not some lesson in adulthood. He is hardworking, responsible, and kind. But at the same time, he is still the same kid who used to come running to me after work, grinning like I was the greatest man in the world. I cannot afford this place alone. Luckily, the landlord agreed to let us leave early. The only place we have to go is my mom's house 6 hours away. That means pulling Lucas out of his last year of high school. He has been with the same group of friends since kindergarten. And now, I am taking him away from all of them. I might even have to sell his beat-up old car just to make the move work. But if there is one small relief in all of this, it is that we can transfer jobs without losing everything. My mother has been more of a parent to Lucas than my wife ever was. And mothers? They have a way of healing things, no matter how old you are. I am not going to lie. This is breaking me. And the things being said about me online and in real life? They hurt. But at the end of the day, none of that matters. My son needs me. Lucas is still grieving his best friend. Now, he has to grieve his entire life here. But I am not the kind of parent to say, we are moving, and you have no choice. That is not how I do things. That if you had told me 3 weeks ago that I would be hunting for a divorce lawyer, I would have laughed. But here I am. For Lucas's sake, I am not dragging my ex through the mud on social media. But if someone asks, I will not hold back. Her family and friends are backing her up, acting like I am the bad guy for leaving. I cannot believe it. Somehow, I am the one getting blamed for this. Nobody seems to care about Lucas except me. And now I am finally seeing who these people really are. They are the victim blamers. The ones who say things like, it is not our fault your dad is broke. Lucas should have hidden his money better. Finders keepers. Why did he have so much cash anyway? What did he think would happen? That last one got to me. Because what the hell? Lucas thought his belongings were safe in his own room. It never even crossed his mind that his own stepsister would rob him. Megan did not just take the money. She trashed his room looking for it. And when she found it, she put everything back perfectly to cover her tracks. Then she went out and blew every last dollar. When I confronted her, she had an attitude. She told me to mind my business. Then she went running to her mother, crying like she was the victim, saying we were ganging up on her. She was not scared. She was not sorry. She did not care. She is a selfish thief. And my wife? She stood by her side the entire time. I am not going to sit here and tell Lucas, you will make new friends at your new school. I am not going to tell him it is only a year or that he will be fine. I will not remind him that other kids have it worse. I will not tell him to just get over it because I am the parent. That is not the kind of father I am. He is losing everything familiar to him. His school. His friends. Even our pets, because my mother cannot have animals at her place. When I told him we had to rehome them, he cried. So, I will sit with him in the "this is awful" of it all. Because he is right. This sucks. Later that night, he walked into my room with a bag of Swedish fish, sat down next to me, and said, Dad, it is okay to let this place go. Then he looked me in the eye and said, I am sorry you married someone like her. I just sat there, speechless. Then he shook his head and muttered, that must hurt like hell. And then? He laughed. At least we will not have to eat her unseasoned cafeteria food anymore. The only thing keeping me from completely breaking down is knowing that my son saw me fight for him. Lucas watched me post ads everywhere trying to find a roommate to help with rent. He stood beside me in the blazing heat, knocking on doors, offering to mow lawns just so we could afford a security deposit on a new place. And yet, what did my wife do? She made a liar out of me. I raised my son to believe that if you work hard, no one can take that from you. That if you earn something, it is yours. And now, he knows that is not always true. I have been calling shelters, desperately trying to find temporary foster care for our pets since my mother cannot take them in. And we cannot stay here. One day, my wife is going to realize what she has done. There will come a time when she can no longer protect her daughter from consequences. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But it will happen. Because spoiled, entitled people do not suddenly wake up and change. They keep taking, pushing, and crossing lines until there is no one left to clean up their messes. And so, Reddit, this is my final update. For those wondering, Megan has faced zero consequences. Meanwhile, my soon-to-be ex-wife has moved in with her coworker, who, let us be honest, she was probably seeing long before this mess started. They are fine. They are thriving. Their world is not falling apart. But my son and I? We are losing everything. We have to give up our pets. We have to leave behind our entire life. We have to move 6 hours away to sleep on my mother's couch while I figure out how to start over. And it is not *ing fair ***. A month ago, my 19-year-old stepdaughter Megan stole $400 from my 17-year-old son Lucas. He had spent the entire summer saving up to be there for his best friend's father on what would have been his late best friend's first birthday since passing. My wife refused to make her return the money. She told me it would be too embarrassing for Megan to have to take everything back. Then, as if that was not enough, she lied to the police, saying she gave Megan the money. Megan committed theft and got away with it. That was the moment I ended my marriage. I did not want to talk about it. I did not want to work it out. I was done. Because my wife had made it painfully clear that her daughter could do whatever she wanted and she would defend her every time. 2 days ago, my son and I had to vacate our rental. My wife and I split bills equally. But now, I cannot afford the place alone. So now we are packing up our lives and moving 6 hours away. Lucas is a high school senior. He has been with the same group of friends since kindergarten. Now, he has to leave them behind. I felt so guilty that I told him I would sleep in my car if it meant he could stay long enough to go to homecoming. That is how bad I feel about this. Today, I went to fill up my car using my emergency credit card. I knew things were tight, but this was my safety net. Except when I swiped the card? Declined. I called customer service, assuming there was a security hold since I had not used it in months. That card is only for emergencies. The rep checked my account and told me, your card is maxed out. If I wanted to use it, I had to make a payment. Guess where the money went? Sephora. The same day Megan stole Lucas's money. She spent $500 from my credit card. And another $400 from Lucas. On makeup. Makeup. I asked the rep why the charge was not flagged. They said they tried to call me. That was when I found out. The phone number on my account? It was my wife's. She had set up an online account for my card without my knowledge. I have always kept my finances separate from hers. She was not on my account. This was straight up fraud. I filed a fraud report immediately, but the rep told me I would not see my money refunded until an investigation was complete. So I went to Sephora myself. I pretended I was buying something for my daughter and asked a few questions. They pulled up Megan's Beauty Insider account. She is a Rouge member. Whatever the hell that means. I asked about the return policy and walked out. I am so *ing furious ***. After a heated phone call, my wife blocked me. I have no clue where she and Megan are living now. If I did, I would be knocking on their door demanding every last item back. But once again, those two are living their best lives, while my son and I are the ones paying the price. I have to dig through our things to find anything valuable enough to pawn just to get gas money to reach my mother's house. Lucas will have to come with me because I cannot afford a second trip. No homecoming. No senior year memories. No last dance with his friends. Because a selfish thief could not control herself. I still have the physical credit card. How long does a fraud investigation take? Since we are married, does that mean she was allowed to use my card or let her daughter use it without my permission? When I went to the police station about Lucas's stolen money, they told me it was a civil matter. The officer's solution was to call my wife and ask her to bring Megan in to talk. But my wife flat out lied and said she gave the money to her. So, once again, nothing could be done. Should I report the credit card fraud to the police, or am I just wasting my time? We live in Nevada. This morning, at 8 a.m., I woke up to dozens of texts from Megan. At first, I thought something serious had happened. She never wakes up before noon, so I assumed it was an emergency. Turns out, she was demanding that I pick up a package for her. A package that was delivered to my old house. The same house she helped kick me out of. She could not get it herself because the landlord refused to give it to her. She wanted my help retrieving something she stole my credit card to buy. The audacity is unreal. Megan blew up my phone that morning, text after text, demanding I do her a favor right away. She had a package delivered to our old house. She needed me to go get it for her. This was the same girl who stole my son's money, drained my credit card, and left me scrambling to rebuild my life. And now, she expected me to help her out. After work, I drove over and picked it up. When I checked the label, my jaw nearly hit the floor. It was in my name. She put the order under my name to avoid it getting flagged by my credit card company. It was part of the same shopping spree she went on using stolen money. A box of makeup from Sephora. I opened it. Again, my name was on it. Inside? Over $200 worth of makeup. 4 tiny items. And a bunch of sample products they must have thrown in. I took a picture and sent it to her. Her response? "Oh my God, thank you. You saved my night." I ran out of foundation and I was freaking out. She was acting like we were buddies. Like this was normal. Like she had not ruined my son's senior year or wrecked my life. She never responded to Lucas when he begged for his money back. But she had the nerve to text me asking for help. I took the box straight to Sephora to try to return it. But because the credit card was frozen, I could not get a refund. The cashier offered to put the money back onto Megan's account. Absolutely not. I think the F asterisk not asterisk asterisk. So I took the entire thing to a local organization that helps women prepare for job interviews. I texted Megan. They said thank you. This will really make a difference since donations have been low. She lost her S***. She started cursing me out for giving away her stuff. She threatened to call the police if I did not get it back within an hour. She even said she would go down there herself and take it back. What kind of trash person tries to take a donation back from people in need? She kept texting, saying I ruined her night because now she had no foundation. And that I was an awful person for doing this to her. The only response I gave was, I would probably avoid the police right now. Especially since mommy is out of town for work. Who would bail you out? That package? It added even more proof to my fraud case. And I had no regrets. The charges that changed everything. A lot of people wanted an update, and I finally have one. For those who do not know, my stepdaughter stole hundreds of dollars from my son. My ex-wife refused to make her pay him back and lied to the police. My emergency credit card got denied, and that is when I found out Megan used it for herself. When I confronted her and my ex, they blocked me. I made the mistake of donating the items she bought with my card because the store would not refund me. At this point, she was about to get away with everything. Until I dug deeper. Megan opened 3 credit cards in my name. She listed herself as a joint account holder and ran up the limits. Each card was maxed at over $5,000. 15 grand in total. I was able to file a police report. And last week? Megan was arrested for identity theft and credit card fraud. Since her arrest, I have been getting nothing but hate. People telling me I should have handled it differently. That I should have let it go. That I am ruining her life. Today, I had a meeting with the prosecutor. And let me tell you, he was not on my side. He damn near scolded me for not working this out outside of court. He told me that, with the amount of money stolen, this was a guaranteed felony. He actually lectured me about how this would ruin her life. That she would be a felon forever. Then he asked me if I was willing to drop the charges. And instead, let her pay me back monthly. I laughed in his face. I told him I already tried that option. The credit card companies were not going to reimburse me without a conviction of fraud. Neither Megan nor her mother had ever once tried to make things right. They had shown zero interest in paying me back. I asked how much the monthly payment would be. He said he was not sure. Probably a few $100s. But it depends on her income. Megan is 19 years old. She has never had a job. She is unemployed. And she owes over $15,000. It would take her years to pay me back. And that is assuming she actually did it. Meanwhile, my credit is frozen. I cannot get a loan. I cannot buy a car. I cannot get a place of my own. I am stuck. And not one person from my ex-wife's family has ever stepped up to make things right. They have done nothing but enable her. Nobody cared when my son and I were homeless. Nobody cared when I was begging for help. And now I am supposed to feel bad for Megan? I am supposed to spare her? Why? She is not a child. She is 19 years old. She knew exactly what she was doing. She stole money. She opened fraudulent accounts. She committed identity theft. And she thought she would get away with it. The prosecutor told me he would give me a day to think about it. But honestly, I have already made up my mind. Would I be the jerk if I went through with the charges?